Sometimes, the scariest monsters you know aren't under your bed. They're standing in the kitchen, making your breakfast, smiling. Going through my YouTube channel recently, I noticed an odd pattern. Almost in all of my videos, I always talk about media, which was one of my first, and also something I watched a long time ago. However, today we'll talk about something which was the first I read of its kind, but it isn't something I read a long time ago. In fact, I just read it like 5 years ago, which was a long time. Anyways, this is Bastard, a webtoon by Carney Kim and Yongchan Huang. I hope I said that right. And it is one of the most quietly terrifying, psychologically brutal, and emotionally raw pieces of horror fiction I have ever read. We follow the life of Jin Seon, a young teenager in high school. And our boy Jin here has a difficult life. Not only is he excessively shy and introverted, but his body is also excessively weak and frail. He's literally this mean.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep.
Life's already pretty bad for our boy Jin here, but the most dangerous thing in his life lives right down the hall. Dong-song Seong is the father of our protagonist Jin here. And on the surface, he's this loving father of Jin and the executive CEO of G Corporation, a very successful business, but behind the scenes, he's one of the most depraved and sadistic serial killers who uses his son as an accomplice to lure in victims, causing Jin to be so introverted, plagued by the horror of his father being such a monster, as whoever he interacts with could very well be the next on his father's chopping block. This isn't horror in the supernatural sense. This is horror of intimacy. Something that could very well be real in our own world. The kind that knows your routines, your weaknesses, and the kind that raised you. And speaking of horror, this is the first piece of horror fiction I've ever read. And let me tell you, it does it right. It constantly has you on the edge of your seat, rooting for these characters you've grown in love. And also for our boy Jin here to finally get some escape and closure. But no, you'd think the story is about escape, but Bastard is smarter than that. It asks, what happens after? How do you live when everything you've learned about love has been a lie? How do you trust someone when the first person who loved you was the one you feared the most? This isn't a hero's journey, this is survival. It's ugly, it's slow, and it's real. Minute spoilers up ahead, but Jin eventually gets close to this one girl he really likes. And through the effort of this girl, by the way, who constantly went out of her way to understand this weird loner. The only problem being that she's exactly the type of victim his father really likes. And there is a big reason for that, which I will not spoil here. But regardless, this entire event causes even a bigger stress as to what's gonna happen next. But a silver lining in all this is now that Jin has a very strong, very personal reason to kill his father. Something he's been wanting to do for a good while now, but, his father is kind of really strong and really smart. And Jin is kind of really dumb. I mean, he's not dumb, but compared to his father, he's kind of lackluster. But his physical capabilities, not so much. Jin has a glass eye and basically broken joints. There isn't much of anything he can do in a fight, to be honest, but regardless of all that, he's now full of determination, which has arisen from his supportive friends. And to be fair, truly fully isn't really all that supportive of his father's sick and depraved ways. A factor being that Jin will also suffer terrible consequences due to what he has done up till now. Because willingly or not, at the end of the day, he was a major accomplice in all of this. Jin's entire handling in the story being very tragic but exceedingly beautifully done. Meeting this girl was a life-changing experience for him, something that made him get a slice from what it's like to live a normal life. and he's willing to do all he can to keep her away from the clutches of his father. The theme of loneliness is one that is prevalent and consistent throughout the entire series. From the beginning portions of it, where Jin is completely alone battling his father and trying to get a normal life, knowing that he lives with a monster and helps him with all this stuff, to the end of the series where nobody actually knows what is going on. The furthest anyone gets is just understanding that his father is not as he seems, and this is the climax of the story. And he's also completely alone and trying to protect the world he accidentally stumbled upon and has now grown to love. His father, Dungsho, being in all of this a truly depraved and psychotic monster, he not only kills but also tortures his victim. He's deeply manipulative and cunning, formulating coherent plans and smart schemes to ruthlessly attack his goals. At the same time, hiding behind the mask of a charming and well-mannered CEO of a successful corporation, giving him advantages and leeways only he can attain. The saddest part being the utter powerlessness of Jin in the face of his father, putting an irrational fear in the minds of the characters who truly know who he is, and even the reader. As the conflict gets more and more tense, us alongside Jin getting to witness the far lengths this man is willing to go to, with absolutely no hesitation. With him practically popping out of nowhere in some instances, making his presence looming over every panel you read, making nothing feel safe. The art style also adding to this effect, as it does a beautiful job at showing the little intricacies in the characters' emotions, perfectly reflected on their faces. And to top it all off, Bastard does all of this masterfully in 100 chapters, which may seem excessively short, but it's not. It hits the perfect balance in length, with its ideas not being too short nor too long, keeping a firm grip on you till the very end without overly stretching anything. Bastard is an amazing masterpiece of a webtoon, at its core being the story of a boy who never had anything while being plagued by this monster, coming to terms with what is the right thing to do, and building up and getting the courage to do said things through the people around him that he always avoided because of his darkness. It is a story of a boy, sickened physically, mentally, and spiritually by his past, coming to terms with it and accepting that whatever his past may be, he can be reborn anew and live a happy and normal life through the people that love and support him, through the people around him that genuinely make his life worth living. Hey guys, if you like my video, please like and subscribe, and also let me know in the comments down below, have you read Bastard? Was it also your first webtoon? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was too short? Let me know all that in the comments down below. This webtoon is really special to me because it was the first of its kind that I ever read, being the first webtoon and also being the first horror I've ever read. And I'm glad I was able to talk about it today. That'll be all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. God bless you. See you all in the next one. Adios.